Hello, friends from around the timber world. Very nice to see you all again, and thank you for coming. And welcome to another episode of Timber Exchange podcast and webinar series. Today, we're here to discuss and learn about the Latvian timber market, what's happening today, and what we can expect in the future. As usual, this webinar is brought to you by Timber Exchange, your partner to track how the global timber market is performing, automating your exports and customer service, and now also inspecting your timber prior to shipment. And this week's guest is none other than the Latvian Timber Producers and Traders Association's very own Mr. Kristaps Klauss, who I will soon be interviewing. But a short message until then. Recently, us Timber Exchange, we've had the honor to speak in multiple leading forums, such as the United Nations Conference on Forestry, the Dubai Wood Show Forum, and even the Wood from Finland Conference. And we look forward to doing all of these again next year, of course. And Timber Exchange has actually, in just 1 year, become the most comprehensive timber market tracker in the world. And many of the world's biggest sawmills are already our customers. And we're able to actually track almost the full timber supply chain, production levels, inventory levels, prices, and more in key markets. But it's not only the quantitative side, it's also the qualitative side. Similar to this, so that you can hear directly from market leaders around the world what they think and what is happening in their market. And our core is, of course, automation of exports, automation of customer service, and automation of international logistics. And new regulation is forcing these processes to go digital. And this will especially affect industries which are very high volume and documentation heavy, which probably rings a bell for everyone in this industry and in this audience. And what we're seeing is a convergence of these technologies: electronic documents, smart contracts, shipment tracking, and of course, collaboration. And all of this powerful technology is available now with consumer-level simplicity. You can add a login button to your website. That's a private environment for you and your customers or suppliers, and that's with your brand and colors. And combined, all of this helps you achieve better prices and whilst reducing your workload significantly. And now we also offer timber inspection in the Nordics, Central Europe, Baltics, and Southeast Europe as well. And now, without further ado, a warm welcome to today's guest, Mr. Kristaps Klauss. Hello, Kristaps. How are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Wonderful. I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Yes, it is an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. The honor is ours. So I really look forward to speaking with you today about the Latvian timber market and sawmilling situation. So can you please start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your role, and the association?
Yes, it is a very simple question, but not so simple answer. I will start to answering from different side of this. In Latvia, we have Latvian Forest Industry Federation, and it's like an umbrella organization for specialized association. Of one of them is this trader, and I would like to say producer and exporter association. It's better than to say trader association. And then the federation coordinates all Latvian woodworking industry. There are specialized associations for loggers, for furniture industry, for carpenters, and so on. And they are all together 8. And as I said, Latvian Producers and Exporter Association is one of them. I am a leader in both organizations. In federation, I'm vice president. In this association, I'm CEO. And what makes it different from other associations, it's association for leading Latvian sawmiller and OSB and plywood producers. we don't have any very many members, but all together that makes approximately 50% from the woodworking turnover in Latvia. Therefore, it's quite a big one, important one, but it don't show only the market power, but also brings a responsibility what we have as an association to do our job in Latvia. As I said, me personally, are working in this industry of very, very many years. If I'm right, it's already 18 years, and if I count how many works I have in the adult age, then I would like to say that almost all entire adult life I'm in this industry and doing this job. But I must say one thing before we start discussion. I don't have any forestry or woodworking educational background. In reality, I am MBA, and therefore almost all my answers will be from the economical or political point of view, not so much from the woodworker specialist engineer point of view. And secondly, I must say that my expertise lies in economical analysis, in the lobby work. I can answer about LULUCF, UDR, and all these good and stupid things that are going on in the Brussels, but if you will ask which dimension of are solved the best today, to be honest, I have no idea. It's your job. Okay, then we can start in where my expertise lies, and don't ask the questions where I don't know the answers.
Absolutely. Latvia is a small but important timber market in Europe. What, in your opinion, what makes Latvia's forestry and sawmilling industry unique? What sets it apart?
Very good again question, and how to answer to that. I guess everyone has noticed that anyone in the road who drives slower than you, especially if he is in the front of you, he's an idiot, and those who are in the back and drives faster are maniacs, and only the right person on the road are you. You are the smart guy. Therefore, the simple question, we are the smart guys, we are in the best on the road, we are the ones who know how to deal with. But, okay, stupid, sorry for my stupid joke, but get serious. Of course, we are in some ways very special. For example, if you look to the export market, for example, Latvia are the third biggest exporter from Europe to USA. We are the second biggest supplier for UK in the softwood sawn material. We are very noticeable in the global market. Also, our forestry, I would like to say, it's very, very good, and not only that we know what to do and how to do, but also from the nature point of view. I would like to say that the best from the north and south comes together in our forestry, and it makes something special. In reality, I don't know so many brands what had made the species name in the Latin. Maybe you know this Pinus sylvestris rigensis. In reality, it means Riga pine. It's our capital city name, Riga pine. That also shows that for centuries Riga is very good known as a wood timber supplier, and our logs, so-called logs, are something special also in the Europe. When we come to the market, then also it's very strange things. For example, if you look to the softwood sawmills in Latvia, you will find very known international brands like Stora Enso, like BSW. You will find a lot of them. Also, you will find our national capital quite big sawmills like Kurex, AKZ, Patam, what you will know. And then I don't know many countries where we can see so diverse mix of capital in one place. And then we are coming back to Latvia. Everything what I told, in reality, it could be for the country's size like Sweden or Germany, but we are a small country. We are really small ones. And therefore, I can't say that we are the largest or greatest, but in the same time, we are doing the best, and our clients around the world appreciate it. That's our specialty.
Very inspiring indeed. And I've personally been to Latvia many times, and I can sense that there's a young population, ambitious population, and of course also a Scandinavian mentality actually for people that haven't been there. And to discuss the market, starting from the beginning of the supply chain with what's happening in the forest, how is Latvia and Latvian sawmills managing the raw material supply, the costs, and harvesting? And are these issues today affecting production?
Then we must come back in the near future, but near history what we had. To be honest, everyone who are in the Europe, also in USA, knows that the last year's markets was like a roller coaster, and we had positive adrenaline in the second half of 2020. 2021 was a great year. The one part from the 2022 was great, and then we had horror in the second part. The second half of the 2022 in Latvia, 2023 year 2023 was really dramatic for softwood sawmilling, and at the moment I would like to say that it's much better, not because the markets are better, but for example, in 2023 we had a moment that we had the most expensive logs around €0. And how you can compete in such situations, very, very hard. And the difference in log price between Latvia and Sweden was 40%. How you can compete in such a situation. At the moment, for us, it's very, very good. Of course, Sweden don't like that, but at the moment, in all our region, that I understand, Baltics, Scandinavia, also central part of Europe, we have more or less the same log price levels. Therefore, we are back, everyone are in the fair competition, and it helps a lot. If we talk about physical volumes, what we can get out from the forests, at the moment they are plus minus okay. We would like to see better situation, but it's not dramatic. I can't say that. But coming back to this market situation, everyone of us knows that sawn material prices has risen if we compare with the situation before COVID. But we know also that log prices, electricity prices, salaries has risen much faster than our product price. And it makes some challenges. Of course, in usual situation, we would like to make a pressure against forest owners and say, your logs are too expensive. But then we must take into account that Green Deal are coming into the market. And Green Deal are making this pressure on the forest that we won't allow to cut as we used to have before. Therefore, this supply from forest owners will decrease. It is a little bit decreasing, and it will decrease. And therefore, there's no big chance to put the pressure on logs prices in the middle or long-term time. And therefore, the traders who are listening that, I would like to give a clear message that at the moment, sawn material is too cheap. It won't stay. When markets will come back, it will rise, and we won't solve it that we will find a way how to decrease our costs. It's almost impossible already.
Yeah, the underlying cost structure for producing timber has changed drastically, and price-wise, I think most mills now around Europe are making a loss, and it's hard to break even with the existing prices. But the average price for logs, all types, especially with pressure from pulp and paper industry, has change the economics that the price must have already saw on timber and finished goods must go up quite significantly. The new normal should be in the 300s for all products, no longer in the 200s, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, but at the moment it's a wish thinking. We know that at the moment we have a buyer for a market, but it will change in near future, I guess.
Yes. And looking at Latvia's exports, and Latvia's reputation for being a global player, as you say, to and strong competitor in markets like the UK, US, and other markets, how export dependent is Latvia, but also how important is the regional Baltic market?
If we talk about export and domestic market, and of course in statistics you will find not Baltics, but you will find Latvian market and so-called export market, because we know that export theoretically is not selling in the European Union markets because it's common market, but of course from our understanding it is an export. Yes, official statistics will show that our local market makes approximately 30 to 40% from the softwood sawn material market. But it's not the right situation because statistics are counting together transactions of the product, not where the product is consumed. If we will look on the consumption point of view, then if I'm looking in my members' balance sheets, then I will find out that most of them local market makes from 10 to 25% from the volume point of view. And if I will come back as a federation point of view, then I would like to say it's even less because in reality, of course, we can sell our sawn material to the packaging producer or to furniture producer, but it's a question where he will sell his product. And for them also the main markets are export markets. Therefore, if we count out firewood and take only into the count industrial products and the end consumption point, then I would like to say that 90 to 95% from the all Latvian wooden products are exported. Therefore, we are very, very export-oriented country. It's only a question how much value added we are doing in further processing. But in the end, all our wooden products more or less ends in the export markets. Yes, if we come back to the countries where we are exporting, then softwood sawn material, then 1/3 is going to UK. It's usual amount. Sometimes it's 25%. There are moments when 40% from volumes are going to UK, but UK is the far most important market for us. Then both Baltic countries comes as a second and third place. They are taking around 10% from the volumes. Then some part are making also Germany, or more or less 10%. Netherlands. And then Germany and USA are next ones around 5 to 7% from the volumes, where we are selling softwood sawn material. But of course, if we come back to other products like birch plywood or to furniture or other products, they are different countries where we are exporting. It differs from the products.
Super interesting. And seeing as Latvia is so export dependent, how is the logistics today, and has it resulted in any shifts in trade flows as a result?
Logistics at the moment, in volume point of view, is not the bottleneck. I wouldn't say that we can't export. It's only the question of price. Of course, all of us know the freight costs from Europe to USA at the moment, they are doubled in last months, and as I said, for example, softwood sawn material makes for us 5%. Also, it influences in some way. And more it will influence if these costs will stay, trade costs will stay, but I don't believe that. I believe that they will come back. But if they will stay, then Sweden or Germany won't export so much to US. And if they won't export to US so much, then they will put in our markets, so for example, in UK or in other ones. Therefore, logistics directly are not so much influencing our markets or possibilities, but indirectly very, very they are influencing us. But I wouldn't say that we can see the new markets only because of logistics. That's not true. And we are not losing markets. Okay, at the moment, USA is challenging, but still it's logistics is not the first question what comes into the mind when we are talking about nowadays challenges.
So what would you say are both the biggest challenges that concern you the most right now, but also the biggest opportunities which you think are most interesting ahead?
Oh, there are two words and many other words coming out after that. The challenge is a Green Deal. And to be honest, this name deal shows that it must be discussed before we are implementing it. But in many ways, it's a big fiction. In reality, European Union, sorry to say, but have learned from the Al Capone that you can get a lot from with a kind word, but much more you will get with a kind word and gun. And they are putting those guns like directives and regulars, and sometimes those directives and regulars are not so bad ones, but they are so poorly developed, and environmental for their implementation is not prepared at all. For example, EUDR madness what we have. That I can't say it's some deal or agreement. It's more like a pain in the ass for our competitiveness. Therefore, I would like to, the main challenge, not only for Latvia, it's also for other countries, it will be resource availability in the near future. I'm talking more about logs, because it's a very, very big pressure to reduce harvesting in Europe, not only in Latvia, also in Sweden, in Finland, in everywhere. The second thing, if I'm not talking more about Green Deal, but about the next challenge, have you noticed that politics has changed the direction in the building section? Before we had the discussions that we have this living space deficit in Europe, and we must solve that. But at the moment, in everywhere, also not only in European Union, also in the UK and other places, you will find that they are not talking about living space deficit, but they are talking about affordable housing. And it's something different, because in we as industry more to focus to the middle class or richer people who will buy the private houses. We are more focused to the public building, for example, CLT and so on, what we'll use and build schools, kindergartens and so on. But I wouldn't be sure that we as an industry are much focusing on affordability, because wood is not cheap and it won't be cheap. It will become more expensive. But as building market is our main market. If we talk about softwood sawn material, I guess 2/3 are going in the building directly or indirectly. And the next biggest is packaging market. And then only other comes like furniture, for example, or other markets. We are very dependent from the construction markets. And therefore, it's a question what will be our industry answer for affordability. I don't know at the moment. It's challenges. If we talk about opportunities, then yes, if I can make another joke, then you can see that at the moment all these directives and regulars are making very huge bureaucracy. And it's not a joke, but joke could be, or the reality. In Latvia, we are kings of bureaucracy. We have used to live with that. We know how to deal with that. In reality, if we talk about EUDRs, this first step of geolocation, for Latvia, it's not quite big challenge to succeed that. We already had it. In some way, EUDR and EUTR we already had before it was invented in the European Union. And that makes us a little bit better in the market because we know how to do it. It's one opportunity, what I see. Another one is, again, about this, from one side, of course, logs will be less and logs will be expensive. But it will make us the chance not talk about softwood sawn material or wood products like about simple commodity. We will move more to exclusivity. Commodity, okay, we will still have be commodity product, but it will be more exclusive. And therefore, I would like to say it's also a very challenge. And sawmillers in reality are in very good position because when we are looking, okay, at the moment the market is dead for CLT and many projects, but what we have seen is that at the moment in the demand side, market is growing much faster than the supply side. And therefore, I'm quite optimistic that in the near future we will have again the switch from the buyer market to the seller market, if we talk about softwood sawmills.
I agree wholeheartedly with that statement that it will soon turn to a seller market. The question is only when, whether it's 6, 9, or 12 months, because one of the things that we track is actually the balance of supply demand and as well as inventory levels. And what we notice is when the global inventory is at 20 million across the whole world in the markets that we track, the market is hungry, very hungry. But when it just rises 10 or 15% to 22 or 23, the market feels it's full. And there's not so much willingness to buy anymore. So the difference between a market which is efficient and working is actually just 10%. The balance is very, very small. And we actually reached the 23 million and have been on a downward slope ever since, I think, April or March. So very soon, we should expect to be again at the bottom level, which will restart the willingness and the confidence. The only issue now is, which we see around the world, is that inventories in certain destinations is rather high, which need to come down. And when they do, I'm pretty certain that it will again be a seller's market.
Yes, and also we must take into the account that in economical books always we are reading supply and demand, and we are believing that the supply will check what are the demand and in some way try to find this balance to the demand side. In our industry, it's completely different. If you look to the common numbers of sawmilling industry, you will see that we are not flexible at all. Only when we don't have logs, then we are decreasing production, and when in some countries have labor strikes, then we are stopping production. But in all other time, we are like Englishmen. We are keep calm and carry on. It doesn't matter for us what markets are. For example, in 2021, 2020, part of 2022, the demand was so big, very, very huge. What was our answer? We didn't change our production volumes. In 2023, it was collapse of the markets in some way. What we did, we didn't change it. Okay, a little bit, but it was again more question about how much it was done because in the Sweden they have log deficit and so on. It's a question how much we are reacting against demand side. And you are completely right. It's a good question about these stocks because supply won't change a lot. Only logs will decrease it. And that's a question. What will be the only question? The demand supply side is predictable. Stocks are countable. The only big question mark is demand. That's what we don't know. It will come back in 2025? I'm not so sure. But in 2026, yes, most probably we will see quite good markets.
And the final question for you today, before we enter the Q&A session with the audience, is after the invasion of Ukraine and sanctions and all of these things, how did trade flows or strategy or the products sold by Latvia change, if at all?
Yes, they changed, of course. To this question, I have, I guess, three answers. The first one, we must talk about sanctions and sanction violations. Of course, in very beginning of the war, and when sanctions were introduced also against so-called zone material, we saw that violations was quite big ones, and stocks that were bought before these sanctions came into the course was quite big. Maybe it also was one of the biggest answers why we had this collapse in 2022, second part of the 2022. But at the moment, I can't say that we can see in the so-called zone material something like the same what we can see. I am talking about Europe, about birch, plywood, or a large zone material, where they are trying to put those products in the market, and demand are also trying to get it in reality, to be honest, and it's sad. Therefore, for so-called zone material, we don't feel this, I would like to say, criminal competition from that part. In other products, like in Latvian case, in birch, plywood, we can see that. The second answer, how the markets changed. At the moment, we can divide the world in two parts. The one part, for example, European Union, which are not buying, or it's sanctioned, it's not allowed to buy wood from the Russia or Belarus. Also UK, also USA, okay, so it's allowed, but there are other market barriers what they had made not to do it. But we have such markets as Japan, South Korea, Egypt, where there is no sanctions against or market barriers against Russian or Belarus wood. Therefore, I would like to say that in some countries, in South Korea, for example, or in Egypt, in some way, Europeans have lost their competitiveness because we can't compete with this very cheap Russian or Belarus product. That makes us a little bit sad, and also we are saying to European Union that they must speak, for example, with Japan, that they must do something and understand in which side they are. And the third part is our local. For many years, we haven't bought logs from Belarus and Russia, but we bought a lot of so-called zone material. In the pre-war years, it was almost 1 million cubic meters of so-called zone material what we bought from the Russia and Belarus, made some value adding in Latvia, and mostly exported like a so-called zone material. Of course, it was completely different what we bought, but from the value editing point of view, but still it was so-called zone material. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why. From one side, I'm saying that, for example, in 2024, our production levels in the sawmills are back in the normal levels, but in the export, you will see that Latvia are exporting much less. It's this part of this part, and therefore we must talk about these value-adding companies who make that business. And it's very hard to change suppliers because Russians and Belarus was cheap and low value-added product what we bought. And not so many places where you can buy so cheap and so less value-added raw material. Therefore, we only some part we can compensated, only some small part. And therefore, for those companies whose business was this further processing, it's challenging for them. But it's a new normality. It's a new normal. I don't want to see Russian or Belarus wood products in Europe market at all.
Super interesting, and that's the noticeable thing about this industry that makes it our industry so unique. The good thing about the industry, it's very big and very fragmented. The bad thing about the industry is it's very big and very fragmented. So these changes, a small shift or a big change like these sanctions, it really forces whole supply chains to shift almost overnight. And as market demand changes, as prices change, the market develops. And that's what makes this industry so interesting, in my opinion. We'll now open very soon the Q&A session. So for you, the audience, down below on the screen, you can see a button where it says Q&A. You can there ask your questions. We will write questions and I will ask them to Mr. Kristaps. We'll wait a minute to collect some questions. And whilst we wait, I will be making a short announcement. So at Timber Exchange, we have made the first now global timber market trend analysis and opportunities for 2025. And you're welcome to contact me to get a copy of this and to see it free of charge. And what we cover is really how the global market is performing, both important market indicators, but also what happens when you consolidate that data and the interesting patterns that actually emerge in production or in inventory levels that you maybe didn't realize. And we also track, of course, timber prices around Europe, Austria, Germany, Spain, Baltics, Poland, and of course, internally within Sweden, which hopefully can be very useful to the audience here today. And we recently launched something which we call the Global Lumber Barometer, where we ask market leaders how they foresee prices in their key markets developing over the next 3 months. And in this summer, 40% believed that the price would fall. But the sentiment has changed so dramatically until now that only 10% believe in falling prices. And the majority now believe in stability, plus minus 5%. And up to 20% believe in increase of prices. So it's very, very interesting indeed. And now for the Q&A session. Let's see what questions we have received. The first question is from David. He's asking, where are log imports coming from?
Oh, okay. The main, of course, part what we are using is our local forests, Latvian forests, and they are very good quality. Then, and it makes approximately from 70 to 80% from all logs what we have produced, what we have used in Latvia for softwood sawn material production comes from Latvia. Rest markets where we are importing already for many, many years are Norway and Lithuania, the biggest ones. And also, if there's a market situation, we are importing also from Sweden and Finland. But the main import softwood sawn log import countries are Norway and Lithuania.
Very interesting. The next question is from Alex. Question for Timber Exchange. What is the current global inventory level? It's hard to know exactly, but it's starting to fall and going back to the normal, which shows that it's a healthy market at this 20 million cubic meter mark, but we're still not there yet, actually. So, Alex, reach out and we'll show you the in-depth data of how we track this. The next question is somebody asking, Latvian state forests made an announcement to switch over to PEFC certification in February. Is this change still being implemented, and what is the main driver behind this choice? This question is from Ryan.
Yes, they did it. It's already reality, and at the moment we are using our virtual stocks to sell FSC products, but they will end in the end of this year from the producer point of view. But of course, in Latvia we have some FSC certified forests, and small amounts we can produce still with Latvian FSC certified products, but it will be very, very small amounts. Therefore, in the future, we must, if you will really need FSC certified products, then we will have to buy in Lithuania, for example, these logs and so on. And I would like to say then the discussion about the price will be on the table because what we can deliver is PFC. The reason why Latvian State Forest did it, it's a question, what is bigger challenge, Green Deal or FSC standard, if we talk about resource availability? Because both of them are pushing a lot to decrease harvesting in many, many ways. For example, in Latvia, our local society is quite active, but they are not so active as my colleagues from the green NGOs, who are real lobbyists and understand how market works. And if in FSC standard we can find that if you have a dispute about harvesting plot, you can't harvest it. Before that you will solve this dispute. And State Forest, I guess, understands that to make such disputes all around Latvia, it's very, very easy. Therefore, in some way, we, as an industry, we must answer the question, what do we need, FSC or logs? Both, it's in some way are harder to get together. And of course, we can't make a business with FSC without the logs. Therefore, if we must make a choice, then we did.
Very, very interesting indeed. The next question is, why is there such harsh competition between sawmills to secure logs, which increases the price?
But it's just a normal business. I don't know. I guess in all countries, to be honest, in all countries what are around this virtual table, what are at the moment, please answer honestly, what is your sawmilling capacities in your countries and what are availability of the logs? And you will, of course, if we don't talk about some other, but maybe in Lithuania they will say, okay, our capacity is much less than our supplies from the forest. But normally in the Sweden, in Latvia, in Estonia, everywhere our capacities are much, much bigger than our possibilities to buy the logs. And as our thinking as a business is to try to make money more from the volume, not from the each cubic meter, it makes this challenge and it makes this competition in this market. I guess in Latvia, I don't talk about theoretical capacities. I'm talking about that we theoretically can put a third shift or second shift. And if we will take that into the account, I would like to say our sawmill capacity is at least 30% bigger than our possibilities to buy the logs. And therefore and there are competition.
Very, very interesting indeed. The next question is from Ivars. He's asking, when speaking about the construction as a large user of timber and particularly affordable housing, isn't it rather an opportunity for timber products, not a threat?
I'm not so sure. If we talk about carcassing, yes, it is. But in the carcassing, we know that wood is only to keep together isolation, to be honest. But when we are coming to CLT, for example, CLT is not affordable for households. It's expensive product. And therefore, I would like to say, yes, carcassing, it is. It is our, most probably it will be our wood building sector answer to affordability. But it will be more wooden carcass panels, not, for example, model house or CLT products or something like that. But again, I'm maybe not the best expert in this field, but when I'm looking to the square meter prices, I can't say that the wood are the cheapest solution.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think also,
sorry, but also we must take into account that in the building costs, wood normally makes very small part from all of that. Of course, in some way, with modeling and with other things, we can save other part of the self-cost of the building. But when we will come back to affordability, it's a good question. How can they save the money in all kind of products, in all kind of processes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I cannot comment so much on construction in Latvia or the Baltics, but I think wood has a big role to play in high population areas, possibly like Egypt, India, and maybe even China, because the population is growing so quickly and it's so young that there surely are ways, if people and policymakers and decision makers really want and really try, to build quicker and more affordable. Because a lot of the decisions in these type of markets are actually to build for upper middle class and upper class, and essentially forgetting what the normal people need. And I'm sure that we as an industry can contribute much more. And actually, if India reaches the same GDP per capita, not GDP per capita, the capita consumption of timber, the same, if India reaches the same consumption as Egypt when it comes to timber per capita, it means it's using 11 million cubic meters per year. It's a huge shift. It's a huge amount of timber.
Yes, you are right, but in the same time, it's a question where we will get the loss. If Europe will decrease, in Canada we can see there is quite big decrease already. Okay, oversupplied maybe New Zealand at the moment. It can be source, but there's not so many source where to come logs, and that's the question. Of course, USA South, yellow pine, okay, but. I'm coming back to my message that we would shift from the simple commodity to more exclusivity, and exclusivity is always much expensive than the simple commodity.
Yes. The next question is from George. Hello, George. Is how many sawmills in Latvia are exporting to the US?
Of course, I don't know the right answer, but I can calculate already at least 5 in my mind. But again, but to understand, when I'm saying 5, in Latvia, around 12 companies, softwood companies are using and making approximately 80% from all softwood sawn natural. Therefore, 5 can sounds a few, but they are quite big ones.
And George, to you, I have the list of all certified sawmills in Europe, so you can contact me after, and I'll tell you who they are and how much they produce. The next question is from Patrick. What alternative markets within the EU could compete with Latvia within the packaging industry?
Which countries in EU can compete with us? Is it the question?
Yes. What alternative markets within the EU could compete with Latvia within the packaging industry? I think maybe he means producing pallet lumber?
Sorry, I don't have an answer because I didn't catch that. Maybe he can ask in other ways, and maybe I will have an answer.
I think I can chime in here, being a former timber trader as well. Latvian timber is very high quality, very nice. I think it should go to value adding as much as possible, obviously. And maybe some areas of it's not specific countries, but maybe sawmills that are established in certain countries, maybe Central Europe, Southeast Europe, that are more competitive when it comes to pallet timber. Because it also depends on the logs that they purchase and what is around them. The next question is from Ernst. Hello, Ernst. Is there and where lies the biggest opportunities of Latvia, both as a place to invest in timber processing, for example, to start a new kind of processing plant, as well as opportunities to increase presence, price, and demand for Latvian timber?
If you're talking about investing in Latvia, I won't answer from business point of view where you can make a profit, but I can answer from our point of view where we would like to see investments. Don't invest in softwood sawmilling. As I said, it's over capacity already. In reality, don't invest in any kind of, except one, what I will explain later, in any kind of the production where you need logs to produce something. What we really need is that you are investing in the further processing companies who are buying plywood, OSB, particle boards, sawn material, and doing something with that. That's where we are looking for new investments. The only part what theoretically we still have free, it's a pulpwood part. Still, we are exporting more than 2 million cubic meters, mostly hardwood. Softwood from that is only 1/3. Mostly hardwood, mostly to the Scandinavia pulp mill industry. That's a part where we are looking for investments because we, from many points of view, not only from economical point of view, but also from climate point of view, we really need that we are not exporting roundwood. We need that roundwood is used in Latvia for long-term usage timber production. That's where I would ask to anyone to focus. But I don't have an answer where you can make a profit. It's your business. I can say where you will lose money, and it will be if you will build one new big size sawmill in Latvia. You can't get the logs. Only cannibalism will be in the market, and in any this cannibalism fight, it's very expensive.
The next question, you're a very popular speaker. We don't usually get this many questions. The next question is from Yanis. Are there other projects like Fibinol being developed in Latvia to add value to small diameter logs in Latvia or not Sweden? And not Sweden?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. To understand Fibinol, it's a project where Estonian investors are looking to produce from the birch pulpwood to produce lignin. But of course, to produce lignin, you need also to produce pulp and everything. It's the same. It's a pulp mill in some way. Pulp mill, okay. But he's more focused into lignin, and it's a birch logs, pulpwood logs. What he is looking more or less to do in his production. But therefore, we are coming back to the OSB, coming back to the pulpwood usage. And pulpwood usage has many alternatives. For example, particle board production. For example, OSB production. At the moment, also in Latvia, before last year, we already had 2 potential investors who were looking to particle board factory in Latvia. Then the furniture market collapsed, and of course, no one of them are investing at the moment. But we saw our furniture industry in this region saw that there is deficit of the particle boards, and because Belarus and Russia went out from this market as supplier, and they started to look where to build such factory. Therefore, Fibinol is only one of the potential projects in Latvia who are looking to this free logs, not free in the cost side, but free that it is still available because it is exported from that point of view. And therefore, and yes, that's my answer.
Very, very interesting indeed. And I know that there is a lot of work, especially in Sweden, when it comes to lignin. A lot of hope on that. And the final question for today is from Patrick. Due to shortage of supply of logs, do you believe that smaller sawmills in Latvia will become a rarity, and that they will find it hard to compete within log purchase from Latvia's Valtsmezi? I assume that's a government entity selling logs?
Yes, it is. In Latvia, 50% are owned by state and 50% by privates, and almost no log producers from logs can live without state forest. Usually, they are buying some part, and usually big companies is part what they are buying from the state forests is less, if we count all logs what they are using, than small ones. Small ones are more dependent from the state forests. But if we come back to the softwood sawmills, to understand that we are which are using B and C quality logs, coming back to the German understanding or second and third class to the Swedish understanding of the logs. We are not talking about the packaging quality logs. We are talking about the construction material logs, what we can produce construction material from them. Then in reality, in that part already small and medium-sized companies are not so many anymore. I would like to say that so-called big 15 biggest sawmills in Latvia, they are already using at least 80 to 85% from all B and C quality logs in Latvia. And those who are still from the small and medium size in this market, they are using these logs for special products. For example, window scandalings and so on, where they are very strong one and they can compete with mass production.
Super, super interesting. And that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Mr. Kristaps, thank you so much indeed for coming to share your insights and speaking so transparently and honestly. It's what makes this show so appreciated around the world. And to the audience, thank you so much for coming to you as well. You can expect 2 to 3 more episodes before we end the season. Both should happen in November. Maybe we do one in December as well. And until next time, thank you very much to everyone for coming today, and see you very soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.